The scariest forbidden experiments in history. In the shadows of scientific progress, there exists a hidden history rarely discussed in textbooks or classrooms, a history of experiments so controversial, so ethically questionable, that they have been buried, classified, or outright denied. These are the forbidden experiments, conducted in the name of discovery, power, or control, often at the expense of human lives, dignity, and morality. While science is often seen as a force for good, its past reveals moments when curiosity crossed dangerous boundaries, and when the pursuit of knowledge ignored the very principles meant to guide it. Throughout the 20th century, as global conflicts intensified and nations raced for technological superiority, the line between research and exploitation became dangerously blurred. Governments funded secret programs, scientists operated without oversight, and subjects, often unaware, became part of experiments they never consented to. These events were not isolated incidents but part of a broader pattern where fear, competition, and ambition overshadowed ethics. One of the most disturbing aspects of these experiments is how ordinary people were often used as test subjects. In many cases, individuals believed they were receiving medical treatment or participating in harmless studies, only to later discover that they had been exposed to dangerous substances, psychological manipulation, or extreme conditions. The lack of transparency meant that victims rarely understood what had happened to them, and justice, when it came at all, arrived decades too late. Psychological experimentation represents one of the darkest chapters in this hidden history. Researchers sought to understand the limits of the human mind, exploring how far a person could be pushed before breaking. These studies often involved isolation, sensory deprivation, and manipulation of perception. Subjects were placed in controlled environments where their reality was altered, their sense of time distorted, and their ability to distinguish truth from illusion weakened. The results revealed just how fragile the human psyche can be under pressure, but at a cost that many argue was far too high. Equally troubling were biological and chemical experiments conducted under the veil of national security. During periods of war and political tension, governments justified extreme measures as necessary for survival. Secret programs tested the effects of toxic agents, radiation, and experimental drugs on both willing and unwilling participants. In some cases, entire communities were exposed without their knowledge, turning cities into unwitting laboratories. The long-term consequences of these experiments are still being felt today, as survivors and their descendants continue to deal with unexplained illnesses and genetic damage. The development of mind-altering substances opened another controversial frontier. Scientists became fascinated with the idea of controlling human behavior, of influencing thoughts, memories, and actions. Experiments were conducted to see whether individuals could be manipulated into revealing secrets, changing beliefs, or even acting against their will. These studies blurred the line between science and control, raising profound questions about free will and the limits of human autonomy. What happens when the mind itself becomes the subject of experimentation? In some cases, the pursuit of knowledge extended beyond ethical boundaries into areas that today would be considered unthinkable. Experiments involving extreme environmental conditions pushed subjects to their physical limits, exposing them to intense cold, heat, or pressure. Others explored the effects of sleep deprivation, starvation, and prolonged stress. The goal was often to gather data that could be used in military or survival scenarios, but the human cost was immense. Many subjects suffered permanent damage, and some never recovered. What makes these experiments particularly unsettling is not just what was done, but how long it took for the truth to emerge. For years, documents were classified, records destroyed, and witnesses silenced. It was only through persistent investigation, whistleblowers, and the gradual declassification of files that fragments of the truth came to light. Even now, many details remain hidden, leaving gaps in our understanding of what truly occurred. The role of authority and trust plays a central part in these stories. People tend to believe in institutions, governments, hospitals, scientific organizations, assuming they act in the public's best interest. These experiments reveal what can happen when that trust is broken. When oversight is absent and accountability is weak, power can be misused in ways that are both subtle and devastating. The victims were not just individuals but society's confidence in the systems meant to protect it. Over time, the exposure of these experiments led to significant changes in how research is conducted. Ethical guidelines were established, emphasizing informed consent, transparency, and the protection of participants. Institutional review boards were created to oversee studies and ensure that the rights of individuals are respected. These measures were designed to prevent history from repeating itself, but they also serve as a reminder of why such protections are necessary. Despite these safeguards, the legacy of forbidden experiments continues to influence modern discussions about science and ethics. Advances in technology have introduced new possibilities and new risks. Fields such as genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and neuroscience raise questions that echo the past. How much control should we have over human biology and behavior? Where should we draw the line between innovation and intrusion? The stories of these experiments are not just about the past, they are warnings for the future. They challenge us to consider the responsibilities that come with knowledge and the importance of maintaining ethical boundaries, even in the face of uncertainty or fear. Science has the power to transform the world, but without a strong moral foundation, that power can be misused. There is also a human element that must not be forgotten. Behind every experiment, every data point, and every report, there were real people, individuals with lives, families, and dreams. Their experiences remind us that progress should never come at the cost of humanity. The lessons learned from their suffering must guide future generations, ensuring that curiosity is balanced with compassion and that discovery does not come at the expense of dignity. In examining these hidden chapters, we are forced to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of progress. The idea that advancement is always positive is challenged by the reality that some discoveries were built on unethical practices. Acknowledging this does not diminish the value of science but rather strengthens it by emphasizing the need for integrity and responsibility. As more information becomes available and as society continues to reflect on these events, the importance of transparency grows. Open discussion, education, and awareness are essential in preventing similar abuses. By understanding what happened and why, we can create a future where science serves humanity without compromising its values. The history of forbidden experiments is a complex and often disturbing narrative, but it is also an essential one. It reveals the dual nature of human ambition, the drive to explore and understand, and the temptation to push beyond moral limits. In the end, the true measure of progress is not just what we discover, but how we choose to discover it.